Hi, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, it's Tim Topham here, and I'm really happy to be hosting this webinar today with you all about creative beginner piano teaching. And I know that this is really, really popular. We've got just about 900 people registered for this webinar. I'm not sure how many we'll have live on the call because there is a replay obviously available. But it's great to have you live on this call wherever you are in the world. And just to make sure you're on the right train, on the right line, we're talking about creative beginner teaching here, and particularly my notebook beginner framework. So if that's what you're here for, then you're definitely in the right place. So look, this is a great chance for you to grab a cup of coffee, tea, a glass of wine, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world and whatever suits you. Find a comfy chair. Turn off your phone, please. Try to avoid multitasking. That's a real killer of events like this and your learning. So for webinars like this, I really say, shut the door. If you can get the kids out of the room, that'd be great. Headphones on and really focusing, because I really always, as you know, if you've been on a webinar with me before, always try and provide 100% relevant content the whole time. This is going to be action-packed. I can't wait. All right, now I can see a number of you have already found the chat box on the right-hand side. If you're new to webinars, then I would love for you to write your first comment in the box there. Just say hi and where you're from. I can see lots and lots of people here who are regulars. We've got Cheryl, Ruth, Julianne, Paul. Yeah, look, they're coming thick and fast now. Hello from Ireland, Canada, Perth, Thailand. Egypt. Wow, that's the first one. Brilliant. Houston, Gold Coast, California, Arizona. Loving it. This is just fantastic. I cannot wait to share all these great ideas with you guys. Keep sharing your info and saying hi. It's going to be a fantastic hour or so this morning. So for those of you who haven't met me properly, my name's Tim Topham, and I'm a music educator and blogger and podcaster from Melbourne, Australia, hence the Australian accent. So you may have found out about this from one of my podcasts or blog posts, or maybe seen something on Facebook. So however you've come here, what you need to know about me is that my passion is helping you teach in a way that inspires kids today. Because we know that the world's changing. Some of the things that we used to do 10 years ago aren't really engaging kids anymore. So I'm here to help you really develop and grow your teaching, to expand into new areas and try new things, because I think that's what it calls for today. Today's kids and today's families are really, really different. So my passion is helping you, particularly if you're classically trained and tend to teach how you were taught, then I'm here to help you out. Jan, we've got from Wichita Falls. We've got Pamela from Sydney. I have a really bad connection. I'm sorry, Genevieve. Yeah, I'll tell you in a second how to fix up any bad connections you might have. But do keep introducing yourselves. I'm going to flip over to my slides. So at some stage during and you'll only be able to hear me. And if you're new to webinars, rest assured that I can't hear you or anything that you're doing. All I can see is my own screen and what I'm doing here, and I can see, obviously, your comments. Now, I would really love for you to just take a moment before we start. You already know what the topic is today. I would love to know, what does a win look like for you today? What would you love to get? Just one thing that you would love to get from the hour or so that we're going to spend together tonight or this morning, wherever you are in the world. What is a win for you today? Because I want to make sure that we can actually make this happen for you. So just pop a chat in the box there. What does a win look like for you now, today, in today's webinar? We've got, 190 attendees at the moment. This is fantastic, and building. So as we wait for some of those wins to come through, I will be explaining in just a second. I'll be going into the background, a little bit of background as to why I teach in this creative way, and then obviously giving you lesson plans 1 and 2, taking you actually through what I teach with students. So what have we got? New repertoire ideas to have motivated students. That's what we want. You'll get you get part of my 10-week plan. For sure. New inspiration and fresh ideas. Ways to make my students excited by piano lessons. That's great, Jan. Yeah, a framework for bookless piano lessons. That's exactly what you're going to be getting. Therese, any new ideas? Well, that's easy, Therese. I'll definitely help you out with any new ideas. That's great. Fresh new idea, new ways to start lessons. This is great, everyone. To become a more diversified teacher, Kevin, I think diversification is such a great word to describe the way in which I teach and the way in which I think we all need to teach. That's great. Lynette, more creative teaching rather than following the book constantly. I think you guys are all exactly on the wavelength with me today, and I can assure you, I think, you're going to have some wins today. So this is what we're going to be covering today. Firstly, we'll talk briefly about a creativity first versus a reading first approach for your beginner students. We'll talk about the kinds of skills that we want to build in beginners from the start. And I know we'll all have different opinions about that, but we'll certainly go into depth on some of those ideas and what activities you can actually do instead of teaching reading to teach these skills. Now, one of the things that I really love about webinars is that, of course, we've got some bonuses for you. As always, as long as you hang around to the end, I'm going to give you a link to the first 2 lesson plans. So these are complete lesson plans for the first 2 lessons in my Notebook Beginner framework. They're about 6 to 8 pages each. They include musical examples, links to other resources, and online references. They are 100% comprehensive, and you'll get both of them at the end of this webinar. I'm also going to share with you my 1-page list of resources that I often use alongside teaching this kind of a framework. Because as we've said, I think one of the big things we want to be able to do with our beginners is a whole variety of things. And we all know that beginners vary. They're all different, and we have to approach them differently. They're all individuals. And so no one size will fit all. And so that's why you'll also get a link to my resource sheet of the other kind of activities that I love doing with my beginners. As usual too, you'll be getting your certificate of professional learning, which is just a great resource to have to show parents or employers in the future, or whoever it is, of the kinds of training that you're doing, because this is really, really important. And I'm so glad that you've committed some time to actually helping with your own training here today. Julianne asks, will you be able to upload your presentation slides, or should I be doing screen dumps throughout? Julianne, if you want copies of the slides, then you will need to use a screen dump. I don't generally share my slide deck. However, if you end up joining my membership, you'll get access to this full webinar replay for as many times as you'll want to watch it. So that could be a good way to do that. Hi, Liz and Julie in Great Britain. We're all here, Julie. Looking forward to meeting you. Now, if you lose audio, there's a reconnect button down the bottom, or video crashes or whatever it is, use that reconnect button. It's there to help you get back online as soon as possible. Now, you've all found the chat box, which is great. I'll only be able to check out the chat box at certain times during the presentation, because I really want to focus on giving you really good content without too many interruptions. So I would say leave the chat until I'm able to answer those questions in breaks. But really the biggest opportunity you'll have to ask questions when I'm really focused on helping you will be at the end. We'll do a full Q&A, and you'll be able to ask whatever questions you want. I'll be able to really focus on them and get as many answered as we need to before we finish the call. Now, I wanted to do a really quick survey with you all. Oh, sorry, I did a quick survey with you all right at the start, but I thought let's do another really quick one online. I'm just going to pop up a copy of the poll that I did for you. That you did if you registered online. You would have seen a survey come up. So on the right hand side there, can you just click how long before you start using a method book usually? Let's do a really quick live poll. It was about 50% started their method book in the first lesson when I did this just before we started on that thank you page. So what have we got? Looks like 50 around, yeah, so it's around 50%. 50% first lesson. After 1 week is the next most popular. It's about 20%. after 2 weeks, 10%, and there's 6% who don't use a method book at all, and 4% who do it after 5 weeks. So what we're going to do today is actually give you the skills that you could choose to use if you wanted to with creative ideas for up to about 10 weeks of lessons with students. But the real thing that I want to stress is that none of this, you don't have to follow this step by step. That's why I don't call it a method. Why did I actually come up with this whole concept? Well, like many of you, I tended when I started to teach as I was taught. And for many of us, that's been passed down through a lot of generations and really harps back to the 1800s. Let's face it, 1900s. And I could just see that a lot of the times beginners weren't getting the real musical grounding that I knew that they needed. And it's hard, as a beginner teacher, I was in that position where I really, you kind of have to make things up, don't you? You have to give things a go. Let's try a method book and see how that works. Try a different method book. Try all sorts of approaches as beginners. Unless you've been through a piano pedagogy course of some sort, it can be quite difficult. So what I did is I decided last year when I had a new student, Josh, he was about 7, really fun kid, pretty good sense of rhythm and music already. He could sing, which was great. And I said to myself, all right, Josh, I didn't say to him, I said to myself, I'm going to teach Josh for 10 weeks with no reference to any books. And I just forced myself to come up with lots of creative ideas to do in that period. And of course, while it's great fun, I also wanted to give him some of the grounding and skills he would need later on when he came to learning how to read. And so that's where the genesis of all this came from. So let's just talk quickly about this reading first approach, because a lot of the way that most of us were taught was from a reading first perspective. And I like to follow the research of Dr. Edwin Gordon of music learning theory, that music is like a language. It is a language. And therefore we should learn it in a similar way to the way in which we learn language. So how do babies learn language? Well, they start making sounds, da, ba, ba, da, 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 and then they'll start forming words, dad, da, mummy, and then they'll start putting the words into short sentences, and then the sentences will grow as they get better, and then they'll be able to speak quite fluently, and then we'll start teaching them how to read, and then we'll put a pen in their hand and we'll start teaching them how to write. And so Dr. Gordon says that, well, music should be the same. How does that look for music? Well, that would be that we start with listening, we move to singing and playing and improvising, that the babbling that babies do when they're learning to speak a language. We should do that on the keyboard or on the instrument. And then eventually we should head into reading and writing, but only when they've got those fundamental skills. But where do the method books most often start? They start with that reading, don't they? So they've already started at almost the end of the language acquisition process. My question is, what would be a better place to start? And I really think that singing, listening, playing and improvising is what we should be giving students the grounding in. Students should be able to tap and feel rhythms and feel pulse and sing and chant and improvise and know the keys of the piano and be able to make beautiful sounds. That's what we want them to be able to do. Then we'll get on to the reading. And I also like to ask myself the question of, what do kids want to do when they first start learning? Well, they just want to play. So let's give them an opportunity to play. And I actually do that as one of the very first activities in lesson 1. And I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So what are the benefits of this approach, in my opinion? Well, firstly, it's more fun. Kids love getting engaged at the instrument, looking inside it, making sounds with it, using the pedals, loud sounds, soft sounds, creating stories, singing along, tapping. These are the things that are fun, not here's a method book, let's learn to read middle C. The benefit is also that this is going to deepen a student's fundamental musical knowledge. We're going to be getting the student engaged and understanding some of those basics of music before we add this huge complexity that is reading. Students are going to be able to explore and create things every lesson. And, little children, which is what this framework's based around, are imaginative and inquisitive and curious and creative, so creative naturally. So let's use those natural skills of the student to really engage them. They're going to develop a strong sense of rhythm, beat, and meter, feeling the difference between 3/4 and 2/4 time, or duple and triple meter, having a sense of beat and pulse and what that means, and being able to tap rhythms and clap rhythms and chant rhythms, sing songs in time while tapping beats. These are the kinds of things that we want students to be able to do. And we're also going to normalize singing in particular and composing. Many of you have probably, as I have, taken on transfer students who just won't sing come their early teens. And it's just because they've never sung before in lessons. If we can normalize the act of singing, then we can just make our lives so much easier later on, because we know how important singing is to being able to play music. And a lot of the time, tricky rhythms and things like that can be simplified so much more easily by singing or vocalizing them rather than trying to count them out metrically. So singing is a huge skill, and composing, we always want that to be a natural thing. I want students to come into lessons and show me what they've made up last week without my help. That's the goal, isn't it? We want them to be creative. And again, I'm going to reiterate, this is fun. It's fun for you and for your student. Now, taking away a method book for a lot of teachers is probably a bit of a terrifying thought. And that's why I've actually created the lesson plans for you. So it's a little bit of an ironic idea that my No-Book Beginners features my own book, but it's there as a framework, an outline for you to follow. So if you think me telling you this is a fun idea is ridiculous because you're terrified of it, don't stress. You will have fun. It's going to be great, okay? Okay, so what is this No-Book Beginner framework? Well, it's about sparking your ideas. It is not a method. So picture it as a scaffold around a building site. You're going to build a skyscraper, and that skyscraper is your teaching beginner method. And what I'm doing with this No-Book Beginner is building scaffolding around that. So you've got some support and some ideas in which to use to build your own way of teaching. This is a pre-method approach. It doesn't replace a method book. So I still teach reading, and many of you will know from blog articles and podcasts about what method I like to teach the most. I still do all that teaching. This isn't replacing that. I don't sort of do all this fun creative stuff and then start teaching pop and hope students have a rounded musical ability. No, of course not. This is just pre-method. This is just getting the kid inspired, engaged, and giving them the groundwork so that reading becomes a far simpler experience. You can use this alongside or instead of your current activities. That's what I love about it being a framework. You're not locked in to using this sequentially. You can if you want, but you don't have to. So if all of this is a little bit outside your comfort zone, totally cool. You could just pick a couple of the ideas from lesson 1 or 2 to use with one of your new beginners while you do your other activities, which maybe is continuing on your method book work for a little while you get used to it. So I'm not asking you to revolutionize your teaching. I'm just giving you, again, some support and ideas that you can use alongside or instead of the current things that you do in your studio. And just so that you've got a basic idea, the framework that I'm giving you is designed for beginners around age 6 to 11-ish. It's designed for one-on-one sessions of about 30 to 45 minutes. And again, it can go up to anything up to 10 weeks, potentially far longer. I actually pack a lot into these lessons because I never want you to be short of ideas. So you could do this for even longer, or you could overlap it after 5 weeks by starting to incorporate some reading. Totally up to you. Now, if you teach groups or partner lessons or anything like that, don't switch off now because I've said this is mainly for one-on-one, because all of the activities in here you can easily adapt to suit groups as well. And the plan I'm going to give you is sequenced. It's step by step with examples. There's a notation of the accompanying things that I use, all that kind of stuff. It's all there. It's all there for you. I've spent ages doing this so that you don't have to go through the same process as I did, creating and finding all these ideas. Okay, so I think let's jump straight into lessons 1 and 2. There we go. And let's get into it and let's explore. So for today's first lesson, we're going to start with lesson 1. Literally, the student has just walked in and you're starting to teach them. What do we actually do? Well, look, it almost goes without saying, but the first instruction in my lesson plan is to get to know the student, okay? So show them around your studio. You might want to show them inside the piano. Ask them what they did on the weekend, what their favorite color is, what their favorite movies are. Get to know them. For those of you who have heard me speak on podcasts and in interviews before, the relationship with your student is just so crucial. It is fundamental to everything that goes on. Your teaching methods could be, could do with some upgrading, but if you've got that fantastic relationship with your student, it's totally okay. You'll get through and they will continue learning. So use that opportunity in your first lesson. Have a great conversation with them. Be as excited and enthusiastic as possible, even if they say they don't do anything or they don't like it or whatever. You just go with it, okay? All right, so the second thing that I do is I ask them, what can you play? I think this is a crucial step that many of us miss out, the opportunity to ask our students. Just say, what would you like to play me today? I'd love to hear you play something. And if they hesitate, tell them it doesn't matter how simple it is or how difficult it is. It could be Mary Had a Little Lamb. Whatever it is, I would love to hear you play something. And this gives you the chance to experience what they're like at the piano. Can they make a sound already? Have they already learnt a few things? I find that when you give them this opportunity, you'll often be able to join in and play along with them. And this is what I suggest you do in my next section, which is exploring what can you play. So, for example, Josh, the student that kind of caused me to do all this work, came in and did this. And, I mean, that's enough to make any piano teacher around the world cringe and crawl up into a ball, right? But I thought, fantastic, this is awesome, Josh. I'm going to play along with you. And he'd been taught this by his dad or something, but dad can't play the piano. And so his eyes lit up. Oh, wow, this sounds even better now. So we had a really great time doing that. We tried it up here, we tried it down low. I tried getting him to go down to the bottom. Oh, what do you think of that, Josh? Oh, it sounds pretty funny. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? What about really up high? Can we do it really quietly together? We just explored it. And so, if a student comes in and plays, then give them some kind of accompaniment that helps really fill out whatever they're playing. Most of them will only use one hand. I haven't had many 8-year-old beginners come in and play something two-handed very well. Maybe you have. Mostly it's one hand. So fill in their accompaniment. Just use some basic chords in whatever key they're playing in. They will totally love it. Don't worry too much about their technique at this stage too. Just go with it. The idea and the goal here is to get them playing and exploring music, not to be playing anything perfectly with the right technique and things. We'll get to that, okay? Today's first lesson is about just getting them hooked and engaged and having an absolute blast. Okay, so that's what I call what can you play. It's a key part of that first lesson, and that could go on for 5 or 10 minutes. Totally fine. Of course, you might get a student who says, I don't know anything. I can't play anything. And if that's the case, and you're as passionate and enthusiastic as you can, and they don't want to play anything, or they can't, or they say they can't, then that's okay. What I suggest you do, if that's the case, is then skip the next section, which is about how to sit at the piano, and go straight to doing some improvising on the black keys. We want to get them playing and performing and exploring firstly, okay? But if you've had a bit of fun with them, and you've done some accompanying like this, then jump into how to sit at the piano. And for that, I tend to use this groovy little ladybug, which is been explored around the internet many, many times. I call her Linda. You might like to call it whatever you want. You might have a different way of doing this. This is just one little idea. I think the Piano Safari team use a little fuzzy little bug thing, whatever you want. It's totally up to you how you do it. But it's nice for little kids to have some kind of reference and a reminder about hand shape and position at the piano. So the very first thing to do, in my opinion, is get them sitting at the right height and get their feet up onto something if they can't touch the floor comfortably. It's so important that they're grounded and they're sitting in the right position. Make sure if there are parents in the room, they come over and you teach them how to get this set up at home. If they're playing on a little keyboard with one of those, those cross brace stands that are all wobbly and stuff, then try and encourage them to get something that's a little bit more sturdy. An adjustable bench. Try to avoid them sitting on 10 pillows. All of this stuff is fairly fundamental and so important to get right from the first lesson. Once they're sitting right, I'll ask them to just pop their hand up on the piano in any way that they want to, and just make sure that their shoulders are nicely relaxed. And I'll often use Linda. I'll pop Linda up here on the shoulder, and we'll say, now Linda's really good at checking how well you're sitting at the piano, right? And she knows if there's if you're in a funny position or anything like that. So you can get them to stand up and just hang their arms down by their side and say, that's good. Linda really likes that. Another great thing to do, particularly when you're trying to teach good posture, is to try out bad posture too. Or if you're trying to teach soft playing, teach some loud playing. Things like that can be great. So for this, you might want to say, can you shrug your shoulders really up high? How's that? It's really tense and everything. Now I want you to relax completely down. Let your arms hang. Great. That's the position we want to be in. So we want to remember that every time we play it. Okay, hand up on the piano. And what Linda's going to do is actually travel down your arm to your next little joint here. And this is really, really important that your elbow is nice and loose. It's just hanging down by your side, maybe a little bit in front of your body. And she's going to be really happy. And now she's got to make this path across this bridge over to the piano. And if your wrist is down here, she's actually going to get stuck here, right? And what if it was up here? She's going to go, whoa, and land in the piano. Okay, so we want to make sure that her bridge is nice and straight here. Okay, so we can get her across to the hand. She's going to then move down around to the thumb side. I'll do it around this side so you can see. And we talk about Linda really loving a nice, warm, cozy spot to hide, and that's under your hand. So we could, lift up your thumb like a door or a garage or whatever you want to call it. Linda can go inside, and then you can feel that nice, relaxed, comfortable hand shape. Okay, so that's one way that you can use a squeegee toy like this. I'm sure you'll have other ideas. And look, everyone's approach to technique is different. Okay, so you might be looking at this and going, oh my God, Tim, why do you teach that way? I hate it. Totally fine, right? We all have our own ideas. But if you've never approached it with something tangible like this, that can then sit there and look at the child and you can remind them about it, I think that is a great way to go, and I've seen it work really, really well. These you can grab on Amazon. Just search for ladybug or something like that. Ladybug beetle, I don't know. I think, definitely on Amazon. Okay, so now all of that I've explained in the lesson plan that you're going to get a copy of. So if that was quite quick, then totally fine. So the next thing to do is improvising on the black keys. And this is where I think it gets really, really fun. But before they can improvise on the black keys, they need to know what the black keys are and where they are, right? So we need to then get them to understand the layout of the black keys. They're in groups of 2s and 3s. And there's a number of games that I've given you. I've given you links to some great games by Nicola, one of my members here, who's got a blog and some fantastic games for actually getting off the bench and laying out black notes for little kids if they're having trouble with it. Totally fine, you could do that. Otherwise, I like just getting students to find all the 2 black note pairs and playing them with fingers 2 and 3. Trying not to be sort of too straight and like this. We need to remember, again, what would Linda say? Where would Linda have you put your hand? And it would be this kind of a position. So we can just slightly bounce. And for beginners, do lots of demonstration. You can have a really nice motion floating off the piano like this. They're not going to do that first up. But if you keep on demonstrating like this, and eventually you'll get to teach them more motion of the wrist, then they'll pick it up, okay? But make sure that they're getting used to all these 2 black keys. Could they do the same with a 3 black key set using fingers 2, 3, and 4? Totally fine. And even little fingers shouldn't have trouble pushing down the keys as long as the whole arm is engaged in this, okay? If they're just trying to push down, starting on the keys, it might be hard. So I like a nice big movement up the piano, okay? Now, when they can do that, it'd be great to get them to try playing the notes separately. So the 2 black key pairs, but doing them separately. So something like this. Maybe going downwards. Then notice that I'm playing in a detached way. And this has come from my reading. I don't lay claim to this. My reading of the research by Julie and Katie, who put together Piano Safari, of all their research into beginner piano teaching. And they're really clear. And I've given you a link to talking about this, one of their essays about it. A clear link between the kids who really seem to struggle when they get older, lifting up weird fingers and having collapsed joints and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it stems from those beginner lessons when they're actually moving too fast to try and play smooth legato. So use the whole arm and just get them used to playing with the right kind of hand shape and finger and the knuckle joint in the right position and that sort of thing. If they can do that, which is much easier on one finger than trying to legato play between notes, then they're going to get this sense of how the hand can work together rather than being all over the place and in contradiction with itself. All right, so they know how to find the 2 and 3 black keys. It's time to play. Don't spend too long on that. We want to just get them excited about playing. So the first accompaniment that I give them is a 12-bar blues. So that's what they would be doing with the 2 black keys. I've given you the exact music that I play along to here for you. When it comes to the playing along and this improvising in the first lesson, the reason I love it is because you learn so much about a student from hearing them play along with you. Right? Are they keeping in time? Do they have a sense of groove? Is there a kind of life and fun in their playing, or is it really timid? It'll tell you so much without you having to say anything to them at all. Now, I like for 3 black keys, I like a more calm and flowing accompaniment. So it goes something like this. This is this one. Actually play that along, and I always ask the student, I'll always say, make sure you have a listen to me playing it through first before you try and play along. So you get a feeling for the style. Each of the 3 accompaniment patterns that I'm going to give you are fairly different. All right, and then they can use any black note on another one that's kind of dreamy, and it goes like this. And you can repeat that as many times as you want, and then there's a little variation to finish. So I've written these little backing tracks in a way that's appealing to kids. They're in a pop kind of style that they'll understand naturally and they'll be able to engage with. And I find that's the best approach when it comes to these introductory black note improvisations. Okay, so once you've had a bit of fun with them with those activities, the activity I want them to go on with at home is an animal improvisation. And I know a few of you already do this. I don't lay claim to inventing it. I heard about it somewhere. I've tried it a few times. It's just brilliant. It's such a simple way for kids to be able to create stories at the piano using the whole piano, and really, really fun. So I give you the full instructions here in lesson plan number 1. Exploring different registers of the piano and telling a story. What animal would be walking with heavy footsteps down here? What animals would have a more twinkly effect up here? Perhaps these are ants. Maybe this is an elephant. Can we tell a story about an elephant and the ants? Well, yeah, sure. The the elephants walking along the plains, and suddenly the ants. He notices the ants down below, and so he starts walking faster. And then the ants come and run over to him and start running around, and he starts jumping around. I don't know. You get the idea. Kids will take this and go with it. You won't believe the kind of crazy stuff that they'll come up with, right? Yes, I've just noticed Julie saying there, when it comes to black keys, any note's right. There's no kind of wrong notes. That's why working on the black keys is so great in these first fundamental lessons. All right, and the great thing about the animal improvisation stories, they can actually continue that on at home. So one of the important things, I think, for any framework that doesn't use books is that students have a reference and things to go on with at home. So in each of these lesson plans, I give you some practice notes, things for the students to go on with. So for this lesson, they can continue to explore the black key improvisations. I would suggest you record them on your phone, upload them somewhere, Dropbox or YouTube, so that they can play them and any other future student can play along to them. They can choose some different animals. Could we have a duck or a bird or a bee in our animal story? Can you make up something else and play it to me next time? And maybe they could help their parents sit properly at the piano and be the teacher. All right. So there's just a few little activities that they could do. So that's my approach in lesson number 1. And hopefully that gives you an idea of how this framework works. Just lots and lots of ideas, lots of playing along together, lots of creative ideas. Okay. So lesson plan 2, I'm going to go over relatively quickly. First thing to do, obviously, that get to know you kind of thing. Find out what's happened during the week. Review their sitting position. I'm sitting very poorly at the moment, as you can see. Review their sitting position. Maybe you sit at the piano really badly and you get them to tell you and be the teacher and improve your posture. How should you be sitting? You could then go over the black key improv and hear their animal improvisation. Could you actually tell them what story they were trying to tell? That would be really fun, and that's what I did with Josh. And I've also given you a new black key accompaniment in this lesson plan. Thank you very much to Forrest Kinney, who's given me permission to use one of his accompaniment patterns from his Create First, his new series of books. So that's in there. Once they've played their ones from the first week, you could try them out on a new one. It's a different style altogether. Really, really great and engaging for kids. Now, in lesson 2, this is when I really want to start working on some rhythm stuff with students. So one of the simplest ways to do that is to just play some music in 3/4 or 4/4 time and get them moving in time to the music around the room. Maybe they could march along to that. But what if you did? Well, that's going to be a different move, isn't it? Maybe they move to the sides. Maybe you have to help them feel that this is a different movement. What if you actually played this and then, without missing a beat, you went to... A lot of kids will go, something weird. I got to move differently here. If they're listening, they should pick that up. These are the kinds of activities that are so much fun for beginners. And I've given you some examples of those little ditties. They're just chords and dominant tonic notes in the left hand, so they're nice and easy. Another great thing is to queue up some music to listen to on YouTube, some with really strong beat like dance music or pop music, and then maybe some classical with a weaker beat but something else that they could move to. And that way you can move with them, so you can actually move around the room and maybe move your hands. What I like to do is definitely do some clapping or tapping as well. So they could potentially, excuse me, standing up, my head will be out of the shot, but to be able to tap a foot and clap on 3 and 4, beats 2 and 3, sorry. Or anything that really gets them moving and feeling. You can use all sorts of body percussion. This is just, again, it's part of the framework. It's just one idea to get you thinking about the possibilities. I think it's great at this stage to talk about this difference between march time, 1, 2, 1, 2, and a waltz time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So, and this is a music learning theory concept, getting them to understand the difference between duple and triple meter relatively early on in a music experience is really, really fundamental too. So maybe you could even create a little playlist on YouTube of some pieces of music in 2/4 and 3/4 and send a link to their parents, and they have to work it out by the next lesson. What is it? And move along to the music. Maybe mum and dad have to come back with a couple of songs on their phone that the kid really loves listening to, and we move to that as well. So this kind of large motor movement, as I just saw Vashti say. Vashti, great to have you on the call. I didn't realise. The superstar of ORF teaching. Thank you. This is so important for getting kids moving, clapping, tapping, all that kind of stuff. Later on in the course, we're going to be doing lots of vocalizing of rhythms too. All right, we're going to move quickly on to singing and echo playing. So the thing I like to do here is using the left-hand walking bass from accompaniment pattern number 1. This one here is to actually sing a little melody and get them to sing it back to you. And I tend to use G flat, A flat, or B flat. So I'll do something like this. Okay, just listen and copy back. La, la, la. Can you sing? And then maybe la, la, la. And depending on how easy they're getting it, you can make it a little bit more complicated. La, 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 la. Or you could go ba, 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 da. It doesn't really matter what you use. They'll copy you, and it's good to mix it up as well. And if they can do that, can they then play what they've sung? So, first one. Ba, ba, ba. Can you play it? What if they chose the wrong note? Does that sound like the wrong note? I'm singing ba. Try a different note. There it is. Let's try it. Did you get the idea? You don't want to go too crazy with that walking bass, but it's an easy one for you not to have to think about while you play it over and over and get them singing and copying back. So I call this singing and echo playing. If they're having a lot of fun with it and it's going really well, then you could do this and they come up with a melody. They sing it to you and you have to copy it back to them. Okay? So, another really simple idea that's starting to get them singing, audiating, hearing, playing. This is what we want in these first few lessons. So I hope that makes sense for everyone. Now, the last two things I'll go to cover now is a little game that I love using to learn the white notes. And it's called Frog and Snake. I don't know if any of you know it, but what we do is I tend to teach the note D first because I've already learned the 2 black keys. So the D is between that. You could say it's the dog in the kennel. I've heard lots of variations on that. Whatever works for you is totally fine. What we're going to get the student to do is now move from the black keys to the white keys and bounce up all the black keys up the piano with whatever finger is strongest for them. So generally 2 or 3. And they're going to do nice big leaps. They're the frog. They're effectively jumping from lily pad to lily pad, right? So they're going up the piano like this. Now, I said this was called Frog and Snake, right? So guess who's a snake? That's you. So the snake crawls down the piano and chases the frog back down. Okay? So our students bounce up the piano using whichever hand you decide. I'll change to my left so I can do the right. When they get to here, as soon as they've played that, the snake starts chasing them down the piano and you try and catch them. Kids love this one. Totally one of the most fun things to do. Of course, you can vary the speed of the snake to totally suit however fast you're going to be going and how fast your student is and whether you want to win or lose or whatever it is. Mix it up. It's a great fun way of them being able to learn the note D. And then I tend to learn C and E. And if you like the animal analogies, dog is in the kennel, cat is on the left, it's just outside, and the elephant's in the gap, the bigger gap between the 2 and 3 black notes because it's a big animal. I don't know. Whatever suits how you want to learn. And the last thing I do is in this lesson, I'll start them learning to recite a song, lyrics for a song. You can choose pretty much anything. I give you the example of Rocky Mountain. I think this is a United States folk tune of some sort. I think this is used by Kadai people. That's certainly where I got it from. It's just great because kids don't know it that well, but it's got a really steady rhythm, and we're going to come to playing it by ear eventually and singing it, and it's got a nice, easy tune. So the words I'll give you in the score here, Rocky Mountain, Rocky Mountain, Rocky Mountain high. When you're on that rocky mountain, hang your head and cry. And so I'll actually get the students to do this, and they need to do it by memory. If not during the lesson, then certainly part of their homework. Keeping a beat on their legs, really, really, really great as well. Or you could do this. whatever you'd like, just getting them to learn these lyrics by heart and in time while keeping a beat. That's the step for this lesson. We don't want to give them too much. So the practice plan for this lesson, I've stated it here for you, exploring the black note improvs. They can also, now that they know the notes C, D, and E, they can also do some white note improvising. How cool is that, right? And so I've actually given you 2 variations on white note improvisations if you'd like to get them to use their knowledge of C, D, and E. The first one's Pachelbel's Canon in C. Easy one for them to improvise white notes over. And I've given you an A minor improv. It's just a sad kind of version arpeggio. Right, and again, with all of these little accompaniment patterns, explore them, make them up, make them your own. I'm not precious about how you use my ideas. I want you to use them in a way that's going to get the most out of your students. That's really what it all comes down to, I think. So I've seen some comments come through here. People enjoying the frog and snakes and things. Definitely, I could see some comments about using names. I know that Vashti, who's on the call today, who came on one of my podcasts last year, did an activity called What's Your Name? And this is great, fantastic for groups. If you haven't checked out that podcast, just search for Vashti, Vashti. You're very famous, Vashti, in the top of my blog, and you'll come up with this podcast. And so she does this activity where she kind of says, what's your name? And the student has to reply in time, my name's Timothy, or whatever it is. And then actually doing that while they're hearing those words in their head, clapping the rhythm, moving onto a piano. There are just so many fantastic ideas. Paul, I know you're a big exponent. You've had a lot of training in ORF as well. So I think, ORF, Kadai, music learning theory, all of these concepts, approaches are things that I've used in this because they just work, right? And so let's use what works. That's what I think. Vashti, you're hilarious. All right, so I'm just going to tell you a really quick overview of what's coming up in the next few lessons. So in lesson 3, more playing by ear. We start playing by ear. We cover transposition as well, more clapping, singing, and improvising, and we to start exploring the difference between beat and rhythm. In lesson 4, we do more note games. Of course, no music. This is note learning on the piano. I'll give you some more games for that. If you like Frog and Snake, there's a couple of other ones. More improvising, and we start doing more singing in lesson 4. And lesson 5, we're halfway through the whole framework. We start exploring harmony and bass lines, getting students to hear home notes and harmony under some simple nursery rhymes and tunes. More playing by ear, and we introduce their first rote piece. I love teaching by rote. I'm sure many of you have done the same thing. And Paula Dreyer, who's a fantastic composer, has offered to let me use one of her pieces called Thunder Showers in this series, and we're going to show you how to teach that by rote and then help the students actually create their own improvisation based on that rote piece. It is so much fun. I know you're going to have an absolute blast with it. So I'm going more than what I've done today. It's been a really brief overview. I understand that. But look, I've got full videos. So I've actually recorded 10 videos. In fact, it's 11 because I did the lesson 1 in 2 parts, and all the lesson plans, they're all available in one place, and that is my InnerCircle piano teaching community. So I put together this community because I know that piano teaching is a really isolated thing, and that's why how good has it been we've got 217 people on this webinar at the moment. It's just great hanging out with people like us, I think. And so that's one reason I put together this community. I also found that I was getting so many questions from teachers around the world about how to do things, but I wasn't able to help them very effectively, or at least I wasn't able to help lots of people. So what I've done is created the InnerCircle, which has some fantastically vibrant forums with teachers all around the world exploring creative teaching ideas. So what's it all about? Well, the first thing in there, there's a whole lot of courses like this one, videos, tech, help, PDFs, lesson plans, all that kind of stuff. You can watch me teach my students in lessons. You can watch over my shoulder as I use a whole lot of apps that I highly recommend as well. We've got the forums there. So I've just, Facebook's great, but it's such a time waster and so hard to find things, right? So I've built our own forums, and the kind of quality conversations happening on there are just so great and valuable to everyone. We also run some regular challenges. So we actually challenge teachers who are members to actually change one aspect of their teaching, set some goals. We have these often over 4 weeks, setting some goals, achieving them, and telling us all about how they're going, and we're able to help them, which is fantastic. We've got masterminds and webinars. So every month we hook up online all together and we chat about particular topics, things that are happening in our business or things we want help with. And all these webinars, like the one you're watching now, the full recordings of these go into my members area for access forever. So no problems with running out of time to watch them or anything like that. And of course, I've got a whole lot of bonuses available for teachers that I've agreed and arranged with suppliers and friends of mine, colleagues, authors, people who create courses. Discounts on a whole lot of stuff is great. Now, I know that the first thing you'd probably want to do if you become a member is have a look at the rest of this Notebook Beginners course. It's the step-by-step sequence 10-week plan of improvising and composing and note learning and technique and singing, movement, harmony. It covers everything. And as I say, it could easily be more than 10 weeks, but you could just use it for a couple of weeks, or you could just pick a few of the accompaniment patterns and do some improvising on the black keys with one of your teenage students. Like, it doesn't really matter how you use it, but it's there for you. I've also got 2 other really great courses. One of them is the Teaching the Blues. I know many of you were on the Teaching the 12-Bar Blues webinar that I did last month. So I've got a full 10-lesson plan in there of how you can teach the blues from scratch when you've never done it before. And I've also got my Piano Flicks training too. This is how to teach pop piano. So if you've never taught anything with chords before, or you've had students want to play things that you just have no idea how to teach, then that is the course for you. So I thought, let's have a really quick look at the Inner Circle so you can actually see what it looks like inside the members area. So this is the community forum here. This is kind of the water cooler. It's where most of us hang out. We've got new resources here and new member content over here, some recent topics that people have been talking about. And then here are these fantastic forums. And as you can see, they're really popular. There's a lot of information in them. I'll just go to one of those topics was Paul, who's on the call today. He had this question about, he was creating some scale sheets and he wanted some feedback on it. So he uploaded them here and he got lots of feedback from different members saying what they like, what they don't like. And it's, given other people ideas of what they can do too with their business, which is great. So thank you, Paul, for sharing that. The resource library, this is just gold, right? So if you've got any questions about anything, you can search for whether I've got some training in here, and there's a lot. So up here in the search box, I'm just going to type search for pop. I know teaching pop is still something that's quite hard for a lot of people. So what does it find? My top 10 pop song guide, a webinar I did on pop music, another webinar, a live workshop I did on pop music. Here's me teaching a live workshop. I've got a technology video on teaching pop, etc. You get the idea. So much great stuff. I know you're going to get lots out of it. We've also got a complete lesson plan archive, which can be clicked through from any app, phone, tablet, whatever you're on. Pretty much log in, one click, and you're on this page here. And for example, you could open up the left-hand pattern sheet that I created for one of the blog posts quite recently. Pretty much one click and you're in. You can open it up and use it live on your iPad wherever you are and whatever you're doing in your lessons. As I mentioned, there's a number of member perks, bonuses on Piano Safari, website development, Nova Score, Music Teachers Helper, all sorts of things in there. And I just want to finish by quickly showing you one of our really, really important forums is one that's called a growth journal. And this is where teachers can actually set goals ongoing in their studio and tell us about them week to week and get us to help them achieve their goals. One of those things that everyone says is how overwhelming the amount of information is out there. One of the best ways to reduce that sense of overwhelm is to actually set aside some time to work out what you're trying to achieve, set some goals towards them, and as these fantastic teachers have done, actually writing down those goals so that we can help achieve them. All right. So the Growth Journal Forum is just so fantastic. It's a great place to hang out. And I know that many, many teachers are getting lots out of it. For example, Rosemary here said, the InnerCircle has helped me to increase my income while not needing to substantially increase my teaching hours. Fantastic, Rosemary. It was great helping you with that. And Amy watched the training on pop music videos and is now exploring helping her teenage students with pop music. Who else have we got? We got Colin, this quirky Scotsman, Colin, who was also on one of my podcast episodes. He grew his studio by about 800% with the help of the first 4-week challenge and the goals he set himself. And Sarah has really started working on developing systems and processes to improve her business. So there's heaps going on. Karen as well has just taken this music learning theory approach that we've been talking about today and really incorporated into all of the things that she does in her lessons. And Rachel here attracted about 45 new students in the last 4-week challenge, just by, again, setting goals and making commitment to make change. So if this sounds good to you, then I would love for you to join the membership today. And I'm going to be giving you a very special discount. It's $100 off an annual membership and $10 off a monthly membership. And that price is fixed for as long as you stay a member. This isn't a one-off. This is for as long as you're a member, you'll only pay that amount per month. And let's just think about it too. As someone mentioned in the last webinar, $29 per month is less than the fee you get from one student per month for most people. In fact, considerably less for most people. And the $299, you could easily levy your students $10 per student per year as an admin fee, and you'll have a studio, for a studio of 30 students, you've completely paid for your membership. So no brainer in that kind of regard. And of course, all of these fees, 100% tax deductible, and we always want to reduce our tax rate. I'll give you a 30-day money back guarantee. If you get a membership and you do not enjoy what we've got in there for you, then I'm more than happy to refund your membership fee. I only want teachers in there who are really passionate and enjoying the resources. So there's nothing to lose. If you're interested in finding out more about this, head to timtopham.com/begin and you'll be able to, you'll land on a page that looks a little bit like this. Scroll down and you'll see the monthly membership or annual membership. You'll be able to choose what you want, and there'll be a coupon code written in the box on that page that you go to. I'm not going to tell you what it is now. You'll actually see it when you go to timtopham.com/begin. Hit that join now button. You'll end up on this little pop-up and you'll see at the top it says the full price. Don't worry about that, because just a bit further down the page, you'll see a spot for your coupon code, and that's where you'll write the code from that last page. Choose how you'd like to pay, continue to payment, and you will be joining us as one of the newest members of the Inner Circle. Now, that membership fee special discount is only available for 48 hours. So that's going to be going away at 10 a.m. Wednesday, Melbourne time, or Tuesday night if you're over in the States or in London. So this is a fantastic time to ask any of those questions that you've been keeping from me, because I've been focused so much on talking. I'm going to get a quick drink of water, and I would love to hear what questions you might have for me today as a result of what we've been talking about. Just having a look through some of the recent comments. Thank you very much for those. There's quite a few members on here today. Obviously, thank you very much, guys, for sharing your thoughts on your membership. It's great to have you as part of the the crew. Oh my goodness, Tis Anthony, listening from Sri Lanka, 4:30 a.m. You are a superstar. I'm very impressed. Thank you very much for joining us at this time of the day. That is just brilliant. Karen, these are in US dollars. Yes, that is correct. I'm afraid, as much as I would love to have pricing for where you are in the world, it's just not possible with my system at the moment. Juanita, the code will be on the page when you go to timtopham.com/begin. You'll see the code on there. It's in bright red down near the join button. You won't be able to miss it. Julie's also said for rhythm games, compose, create, rhythm menagerie is awesome. Yep, on that resource sheet you're going to get in the bonus section, you will find lots of resources like that from a number of people around the world. Oh, Julie, 1 a.m. for you too. I'm impressed. Very, very good. Christina, inspired to include some more improvising. That's great. That's what we want to do. After such a fun first 10 lessons, Kim, what a great question. Isn't it a bit of a letdown for the kids to go to a method book and begin the slow process of learning the notes? Well, Kim, 2 comments on that. Make sure you choose a method book that's inspiring, motivating, and fun. I would suggest you have a look at Piano Safari if you don't already use it, because they include improvising, rote teaching, backing tracks, videos, everything. It's really, really great. The second thing I'd say about that, about it being a bit boring, is that I wouldn't ever encourage you to just drop all the creative stuff and go to a method book. Once you've started this process, you can continue some of these ideas while they're learning a method. So even if you're learning a method that's fairly traditional and doesn't have a whole lot of improvising in it, that's totally cool. Just make sure you include that on the side. Maybe grab some pieces of music from a rote pieces book and teach them some fantastic rote pieces. And I'm going to give you one of the resources in the resource list is Paula Dreher's link with a discount code too. Teresa said that rather than raise tuition, I totaled up all of my subscriptions desired for the year and divided it among my students and purchased those subscriptions. InnerCircle is at the top of the list for best investments. Thanks, Teresa. That's awesome. Where do you order the lesson book, Deanna? I'm going to give you a link to that in the next 5 or 10 minutes when we wrap up the call. What else have we got? I'm just having a look through the questions here. Susan, thank you very much. That's great to hear. That was useful for you. Yeah, Margaret, you hit the nail on the head there. Thumbs up for Piano Safari. Kath, good method to use for small groups. You know what? Piano Safari can be used for small groups. I know that. And I find that pretty much if you're teaching small groups, you can, adjust most ideas from method books for group teaching. And I know there's a number of group teachers on here, so they might be able to give you some other ideas as well. I'm going to keep flipping through here. Oh, Brandon, what an awesome question. In fact, I had that written down and I didn't mention it, so thanks for noting it. He says, how much do you coach parents on research behind why these great ideas are important to start with? And the question that I was going to answer before you mentioned that was, what do we tell parents who have come up through a fairly traditional beginning themselves and are expecting you to jump into a book? And you say, whoa, actually, no books for 5 weeks or 10 weeks. We're going to be just having some fun. Brendan, what we've got to do is we really have to start educating parents about the realities of modern education. And this is happening across the board, schools and everywhere, in all areas of education. Things are changing and things are becoming more creative. So really, the answer to your question is that we do have to coach the parents. You'll have to tell them, if you're doing this for the first time, and or changing, maybe you've started teaching a beginner for a few weeks and you want to try this out, then do keep the parents on side. Just explain how important it is that the beginners get that real grounding in music and that curiosity and engagement and sense of adventure and fun before they start note learning. And just, I tell them, compare it to learning a language. Like I said in one of my first slides there, learning a language, the form of that, how did you do it? Ask them if they learned to read first up before they learned to speak. Of course they didn't. And explain that that's a great theory to use for teaching music as well. Great, we've got some other thank yous. Karen, you will get lesson plans 1 and 2 and the resources list in a link that I'll be giving you once we wrap up this Q&A here. Just want to check whether we've got a few other questions here. Juanita said, thank you so much. This has really helped. That's great. In fact, I bought I Love Coffee and my beginners loved it. I Love Coffee, that's one of the rote pieces in Piano Safari, I think, Juanita. And Josh, I gave this to Josh, my student that I've been talking about, and he totally loved it. In fact, I recorded the backing track for I Love Coffee and he played it at assembly and blew everyone away. It was great. If anyone's interested in that, then I'm not sure, you might be able to download it separately at pianosafari.com, but otherwise you can definitely get it in their lesson books. Sorry to hear your video wasn't so good, Jenny. You will get a link to the replay, so hopefully that'll be clearer. Great, thanks, Helen. Notice that there's a number of string teachers on today, so fantastic. Love the language of theory is also the basis of yes. So I should have said Suzuki is definitely one of those things that that I've taken ideas from in creating my approach. So, yep, you're 100% right. Sammy, the coupon code, just head to timtopham.com/begin. Head to that link. When you scroll down the page and you see the monthly and annual memberships, you'll see a link on that page where the coupon code is. It's in red just above the Join Now button. So you'll just have to copy that across, and I look forward to welcoming you into the membership. That's going to be totally awesome. All right, guys, we're going to start wrapping it up in just a second. If you've got any last questions, please pop it into the chat box. Of course, if you're a member or if you become a member, we can continue this conversation going, because under each of the lessons videos and the lesson plans that you get, there's a space for comment. So we can definitely, if you've got any more questions about any of this approach, you can always ask there. Sheila, that is a great question. Sheila asks, could this be used for beginner adults and teens? Yes, but with variation. So teenagers and adults won't want to create a story improvising about animals. So in my opinion, teenagers will need a different approach. And my thinking is that I'll be doing a framework for teaching my approach to getting adults and teenagers started down the track. It's on the cards and set for probably later this year, I would guess. But I wouldn't use these directly. You will need to vary them if you want to use them with teenagers and adults. Piano conferences coming up this year, Alison, depends where you are in the world. If you're in the United States, then I'll be over there for 2 different workshops. The NCKP, definitely one to get along to in Chicago. And if you're over here in Australia, then the APPC is in Adelaide in July. So look up those 2 things. It'd be great to meet as many of you guys live as possible. If you're in the United States and can come to the NCKP, make sure you come along. It'd be great to say hi. I'm doing a workshop there on harmonization for beginners, and that's actually in the keyboard lab, so it's going to be great fun. Okay, so let's start wrapping things up. Here's your bonus access code. Thank you very much for waiting patiently for it. So to access the lesson plans 1 and 2 and the resource guide and your professional development certificate, head to timtopham.com/beginner bonus. Beginner bonus. The link is there on the screen for you. And quickly, it'd be fantastic to know, did you get a win today? Did you get a win today? Have I solved one of your problems? I asked you right at the start there about your wins. I think I might have, but if you got a win today, can you say a quick yes in the comment? That's all I need. And if no, then we better work out really, really quickly what I can do to help you get a yes. But did you get a win today? Let me know with a quick comment. Yes, excellent. Oh, that's great news. Brilliant. I think we've got wins for most people, wins for everyone, wins all round. Well, congratulations everyone for hanging around and being involved today. I really appreciate it. We've still got 200 attendees on the call, which has just been so great. I'm really humbled and honored that you would spend this time with me and exploring some of the ideas I've got. So, look, I hope to see you inside the Inner Circle. Again, if you're interested in connecting with me on an ongoing basis and with teachers all around the world who use these kind of approaches, then the link there is on the page, timtopham.com/begin. So if you do have any last questions, feel free. I'm going to stay on the call for another 5 minutes or so if there are any other questions. But if you'd like to log off now, totally fine. And remember that coupon code that I've given you for your discount, which is a lifetime discount as long as you're a member, that only lasts for 48 hours. So only for as long as the replay is available can you get that bonus. Head to the link on the page right now. Thank you, Caroline and Elizabeth. That's awesome. Lynette too. That's great. Look, it's just fantastic that so many of you have found that really, really helpful. I would hate to ever think that I was ever wasting anyone's time on these calls. Excuse me, having a drink. Fantastic. The link again for the bonus, Michelle, is I'll just skip through my slides again for you. timtopham.com/beginner bonus. Meredith, no, I'm afraid you can't purchase the course on its own without joining InnerCircle. I've just made a commitment to being able to support teachers. The best way I can support teachers is as a member of my InnerCircle. So that's why all of my courses, and in fact, all of my downloads, everything I've got is now part of my InnerCircle membership. Julie, you're starting to explore simultaneous learning, so that's fantastic. Well, Julie, make sure you check out the podcast coming out this week too, because I'm going to be exploring that simultaneous learning approach with teaching music, more advanced music too, so you can check that. Ruth, the coupon code is on the sales page. It's at timtopham.com/begin. Thank you, Barbara. Oh my goodness, Sladana, 2:10 a.m. in Serbia. Wow. Make sure you get some sleep. I'm really honoured that you'd be up at that hour. I hope you're a night owl or can sleep in the morning. Thanks for joining us today. Juanita, yes, I do have things to help inspire teens who have been learning for a while. And you know, you've got to pivot a lot when you teach teenagers, I find, because they keep changing as they develop and grow, don't they? I do have a lot of resources and members. It's all in the members area, really. You could search my main blog for teens or teenagers. You will definitely find some things there. But one of the best things for you would be the Teaching Pop Piano course. If you haven't explored that before, that would be a great one. That's available in the members area because I teach the idea of teaching chordal composing, which teenagers just love. The beginner bonus link is on the page right now. Robin, pumped for spring break. When's spring break? That must be coming up. Teresa, yes. Each lesson has instructions for assignments to be given to the students. So they're written on the lesson plan pages. You'll get them no problem at all. Sorry about the interruption, Sue. Is it possible to purchase the Notebook Beginners without joining the InnerCircle? I think I've answered that, Ria. No, you'll need to become a member for all my courses because I can really support you the best way possible in there. Bye to Rosemary. Are resources shareable legally with colleagues, Julie? The best way, if colleagues want to teach in this same way, it's a great question. Then I actually have just released a blog post today which has lesson 1 and my video explaining how to teach that, and that's live on the blog. So anyone can grab a look at that. And if you just type in, give them the link to timtopham.com/beginners, they'll be able to have a look at lesson 1 and get a feeling for it. If you would like to use this framework with the other teachers in your music school, then obviously I would appreciate it if they were also members of the InnerCircle. But look, if you have a number of teachers in your music school and you would like to discuss whether we can do some kind of special institutional discount, I do that with some schools. So do let me know. You can send a message to support@timtopham.com and we'll have a bit of a chat about that. I'll see if I can help you out. Thanks, Ruth. Yeah, look, the forums are so much faster than Facebook. Facebook is just such a time waster for so many of us. So, yeah, I'm glad that when you saw inside, you could appreciate that. Rebecca asks, when teaching by rote, do you find kids find it harder to practice at home if they've forgotten how it goes? Yeah, totally, Rebecca. And that's why one of the other reasons I love Piano Safari, because they've created videos for all the students to use at home. Either the parents or the students can follow along exactly what they should do with all their rote pieces. So yeah, you're 100% right. If you are teaching by rote, a great idea is to video record how it goes. So for the piece that I introduce in, I think it's lesson 4 of No Book Beginners, the rote piece there, I would record a version of it, either over the top of the keys, looking downwards, or just sideways on, so that teachers, so that their students, so that your students can continue using it at home. It's a great question, particularly when it's so easy to record things on iPhones these days, isn't it? Sorry about that, Sammy Joe. I'll check it out when I jump off this call, and we'll work out exactly what's going on. We'll definitely get you connected, don't worry, and I'll do my best to help you out. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. It's just gone 15 minutes over, so thank you so much. If you're still on the call, we've still got quite a few people on the call today. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very, very much for joining me today. And as I say, I hope you did learn a lot and you can use this in your teaching. Grab those lesson plans, incorporate it, and let me know how you go. I would love your feedback. Either on Facebook, you can leave me a review or a comment at my page, Tim Topham Creative Piano Teaching, or send me an email, leave a comment on the blog. Remember that the discount code for access to InnerCircle membership is only for 48 hours. So if you're yet to become a member and you would like to join us, then please make sure you take note of that opportunity right away. And a reminder that the link to grab your discount is at timtopham.com/begin. All right, everyone. Thank you very, very much. Sorry, Karen just saw your message there. The lesson plans are all at timtopham.com/beginner bonus. That's where you'll be able to get the lesson plans and your certificate. All right, everyone. I'm going to sign off now, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thank you very much for joining me today.